Dungeons and Dragons.
And junk drawer. Look at me now. Hey, look at me now. Hey. That song popped into my head. I think because everyone's about to look at us. So, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Looking at Us.
Paper.
Fresher than a motherfucker.
What's up,
We
guys?
did it.
We are back with another episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Junk Drawer.
Ding.
We are going to lead off our announcements tonight, damn near on time, with the man, the myth, the Carlos.
Oh shit! Left field, great. Hi, I'm Carlos. I am going to give a shout out to. Hold on, I gotta pull it up because I can't remember the exact username, but I think it's Hi, I'm Fry. Hi, I'm Fry. Yeah. So I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Hi, I'm Fry on Instagram. It's HIIMFRYE. He's actually been working a lot on some music for us and also some music for Pride Party, which has fallen behind a little bit, but I'm gonna get back rolling once life decides to slow down. So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Hi, I'm Fry, and another shout out real quick to Random Encounter Productions. You can find them at REP RPG. That's the other campaign that I play with. I play with them on every other Monday night, and they've been really awesome. Let me shout us out in their channel. Back to you, Pat.
Awesome. I will go next to the only one of us that has long hair that's longer than Justin's. Josh.
And even that is debatable now. What's up,
Oh, yeah,
everyone?
you cut it off.
I did cut it. I did my donation thing. And Justin has short sides, right? Cool. This is riveting content. What's up, everyone? Hey, so my shout outs are pretty simple. First one, gonna shout out this kid Matt in my neighborhood. Don't know much about him, but he cuts my lawn for $15 every week or every 2 weeks, something like that. So that's like really cheap, and he does a pretty good job. So good on him for making money and being a generally pleasant child.
Matt, entrepreneur.
Yeah, good job, Matt. Second is going to be Donovan. Not quite the fuck you that will come, don't worry. But Donovan fucking decided to get married without telling anyone. So he was in California and just like, well, I'm fucking married now. Exactly. So that's why this one's going to be really big. And you know what? Because she's now family, we're also going to say, fuck you, Andrea. So be ready for that. Third one, whiskey. Thanks, whiskey. You taste real good. And you make me feel fine. Sometimes I drink too much, but not often, unless I'm with, Donovan. So on 3, we're going to say, fuck you, Donovan and Andrea. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. Wait,
Ready.
we're going to make it more like Dora. Okay, guys, are you ready?
Follow along at home.
We're ready.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Okay, on 3, 2, 1. Fuck you,
you,
Donovan and
Yeah.
Andrea.
Yeah.
That's right. Fuck you, Donovan and
Congratulations.
Andrea. Thanks for being family now. All right, back to you, Pat.
Fuck you.
That was the weirdest. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I watched the latest episode of Rick and Morty, so I'm all over the place.
perfect. It's going to be great. That's basically like watching Loki, so it's the same.
Wow,
Uh,
Musk.
We are going to go next to our social media master, Mike Spillane.
You like that tweet I put in the Discord, huh?
I saw it earlier today, but yes, I did.
What was it?
It was fun times. Go look it up while I'm talking.
Okay.
Follow us on Instagram at The Drunk Drawer Show. Subscribe to us on YouTube at The Drunk Drawer Show. Follow us on Instagram at The Drunk Drawer Show, TikTok at The Drunk Drawer Show, and Twitter at The Drunk Drawer Show. I don't think I missed anything, but also make sure that you're following and subscribing to our channel here on Twitch. Subscribing, extra appreciated, because that helps us make the show better. But following still does a lot, and make sure you're telling all your friends about how much you like us and our role-playing abilities. And just make sure that you preface that it's D&D and not something that might awaken something in them, because I mean D&D can awaken things in people. Anyways, I'll stop talking. I'm rambling. Yeah, I had another shout out that I wanted to do, but I completely forgot what it was.
Was it
'Cause
your
one of those,
OnlyFans?
No.
Talking about so much
been.
role play.
Yeah, it was one of those semi-serious but not serious shout outs, Like Like it was like kind of funny, but also not important. Anyways, back to you, Pat. I suck at this tonight.
And we will, last but not least, chat to the man that daddies the dice. Dice Daddy, what you got for us?
Yes, thank you, Pat. I'm here standing now. I just wanted to shout out.
Right.
It's go right. Our regular platforms, Roll20. I wanted to shout out to D&D Beyond because we utilize this tool constantly. I'm constantly buying stuff. I was very upset from last time we played because I didn't think Roll20 or D&D Beyond was working at my new place because of my internet provider. And I spent a lot of money on the campaign, and I'd be really bummed if I couldn't do anything with it. So very excited about that. Utilize Roll20. It's a great resource when your internet's not on the fritz. And shout out to internet providers for going out and then going back in. So, yep, back to you, Pat.
For fucking
Awesome.
you?
Yeah, sometimes. I would like to. I actually have a couple shout outs tonight. First, I'd like to start out by shouting out my wife. Thank you so much for letting me play Imagination with you guys every week. I appreciate it. Next, I would like to shout out You Are Wizards, or literally You Are Wizards. They got me. They sent me, because I gave them money, these awesome dice.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Wish.
Yes.
Maybe if you guys want, you can
Yes.
totally sponsor us. I got them. They're awesome. They're gemstone dice, so they were a little more expensive than every other pair of dice I've ever gotten, but they're really awesome, and I like them a lot. So check them out. I would also like to shout out Edward. Edward is someone who subscribed to our channel that I work with. So Edward, thank you so much for subbing and hanging out with us or following, or I don't know all of the lingo for Twitch, but thanks for being here, man. I would also... Yes.
Oh, it's Edward
that
Kang.
one.
Hey, Edward.
It is. Yeah, that's him.
We all work together.
We do all work
I
together.
saw him this morning. He's tall.
He's quite tall. He's quite tall. Super nice guy. Again, thank you for the follow, subscribe, whatever it is. And I would also like to shout out the man, the myth, the legend, Craig Brooks, for just being him. He's got a lot of things cooking, and him and I are gonna start cooking some things. And I look forward to this Thursday. I'm actually getting to interview someone for Junk Drawer and what will be the separate section of Going For It. I have an interview set up this Thursday with a Division I kicker. So if football's your thing, if you enjoy that, and you just enjoy interesting human personal stories, you're going to want to check that out when we release that. But with all of that being said,
Ooh,
yeah.
I remembered my shout out.
Okay.
This is selfish, but I want to give a quick shout out to myself. I've officially lost 40 pounds. So I'm working my way down. Been working really hard. So I just want to toss that out there because it's further motivation for me to keep going. So love you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, love you too, man. That's awesome.
I would also like to shout out Mike for losing 40 pounds.
Been about like
Wow, Pat,
2.5.
you're such a good friend. dude.
I would like to shout
know,
out Mike
right?
for losing pounds 1 through 39.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very
I
much.
got you, bro.
I would like to shout out Mike for me being closer to you in proximity than Josh is, and for losing 40 pounds.
I would like to shout out Mike for knowing me longer than Pat has, or than knowing Pat, and also for wearing hats, because I like that hats go on the head. And Carlos also has a good hat, but none of us have hats otherwise. So back to you in the studio.
Mine is leather.
Is it
Dude,
really?
there's like some kind of. I feel like there's like a thing going on right now.
Shout out to Mike, who shared a wall with me in college, and we were friends.
They're gonna clean up the flux.
It's okay. I was waiting for Josh to be like, shout out to Mike who shared a room with me in college.
And high school.
With all of that said,
Justin.
What? I'm listening.
Dice Daddy, whenever you're ready.
So, last time we were all together, we were in the midst of the Ares Flevlog invasion, where Ares had essentially brought down most of our party, with Alder being the one to fetch Queen Anya for him finally, after this essentially just like who can punch harder contest between him and Thor, which was very close. Eventually, as Alder was looking for Queen Anya, he eventually ran into Creed, who, after Alder kind of dumped everything that was going on, she essentially was saying, let's just make sure Valdana's okay. So Alder had another new task, which was not only to get Queen Anya, but to get Valdana. Meanwhile, the three of you kind of spirit walked to a very familiar grassy Nolly Hill, and the only way I can describe it is like the very like Scotland, just very cool, very mute colors, and on the top of this mountain were two goats, and amongst the goats were Thor and Loki's father Odin. Either it was him, it was a projection of him, but he was able to communicate information to his sons after a very, very long time. Meanwhile, Alder eventually got Anya, and when he returned back to the square, everyone was tied up. Loki was bound and gagged, hanging upside down, with his mouth closed. Thor had a massive pillar that was crushed and crushing his left arm, and Thok was in a more awkward position of being tied up. Amongst this, Alder was able to successfully get Valdana, but not without Anya coming in and losing to Ares. Eventually, through a struggle before Mjolnir between Ares, Anya, and Thor, eventually Ares ripped Anya's wings off and severed her spine with his axe. Alder brought Valdana over to Creed, who, surprisingly, was with her grandmother, Vindrin. Unfortunately, Alder does not speak the particular language that they were speaking, but I decided to speak her husband's poem to him anyway, and essentially triggered something within Vindrin. This very old, meek woman suddenly stood up straight and came into the carnage as Ares was coming back for one last swipe at Thor's neck. When, out of the blue, upon seeing her, someone she considered her daughter, dead, triggered. And we were met with Vindrin, the copper dragon, bellowing at Ares. So we will take it from there as Thor, you're very blurry-eyed. Your ears are hot. Your cheeks are flushed. As you are losing blood, you know that Ares is coming forward and there is nothing that you could possibly do to stop it. And you look to the right and there's Vindrin. And before you have the opportunity to say, get out of here, leave, her arm reaches out and it becomes scaled and clawed and it starts becoming bigger and wider. And Ares takes note of this. And there is something that you haven't seen before on Ares' eyes, which is fear, but excitement. As there's a very small curl of a smile as he is looking, as Vindrin is getting larger. Her wings are starting to come out. And he looks over at you and he goes, "You have a dragon."
Oh, her? She, yeah, I guess she's with us, you know, kind of last stitch defense. So she's going to eat you now. Sorry.
He just kind of smiles and he goes, "Interesting. We'll finish this later. I'll come for your neck, but that looks very uncomfortable." And as Vindrin is breaking out of the shell, Ares comes down and he just cleanly swipes what was left of your arm attached to whatever was under the stone column as you drop immediately to your knees and you hear a high-pitched whine in your ears as there is shock starting to come because you feel the cleaver go through meat, bone, arteries. As he kind of spins it and he goes, "Okay." And he begins to bolt for the gate as Flevlog is already starting to open it. Drugar everywhere are panicking. So I want to see what Alder, Thok, Loki are doing. As Thor, I will say that you are losing a lot of blood on the ground as Vindrin is getting larger and larger.
Alda is jaw to the floor and just kind of, assuming I'm still next to Creed and Valdana, and I was just like, it would have been nice, and I'm just going to sprint over to Thor to see what I could do, because his arm just got cleaved off, and he's going to need assistance.
To which immediately Creed goes, "Yeah, I thought you said you've seen weird shit before."
As I'm running away, I've just been like, yeah, weird shit didn't mean old lady friend turns into a dragon, but I mean, I guess nothing's off the table right now, and
And you just hear, "It's complicated, darling," as Creed goes off to the left and starts trying to slay and try to convey this riot that is beginning to break out. Fuck. What I will say is, go ahead and roll a perception check with your good eye.
Not your not eye.
So it's still no disadvantage. Oh,
No disadvantage.
It's gonna suck anyways. Plus 10, 4, 14.
14. It's just because of the way you are and the way that you have been touched by death. You are looking frantically. You see Vindrin being a massive dragon and kind of covering, almost protecting Anya's body as she is spitting acid at all of these Drugar as you see the very Flevlog and Ares go into the gate before the archaic magic just kind of dissipates. And it's just this dead gate. But with your 14, you look at Anya's body. And you see a very familiar sight as this very big, dark shroud goes over Anya's body. That, unfortunately, only you can see, as you see Manutep looking over her body as you see the very tiny little essence of her soul starting to come out. And Manu is next to you and he goes, "That's bad, right? That's bad, right?"
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna point at him and I'm gonna cast banishment on him.
Your hands are currently bound.
Oh, and I'm still zipped, right? I can't talk.
So Manu is able to communicate that with you, and seeing the desperation in his eyes, he starts charging Manutep. So while that's happening,
oh god,
Loki, what are you doing?
Yes. If I remember correctly, my hands are still bound. Like my wrists are fine, right? So I'm going to see the dragon, Vindrin, and look up and just... Actually, I can't make the noise, but say Vindrin in a muffled and confused tone.
Yeah.
All the while, still trying to inch my way to Thor and having a hard time focusing just on Thor because of what Vindrin's doing. This old lady that we met, now a huge dragon. I don't know where to look, but clearly I can't do anything there. So inching over and hoping to little Glover, him still trying to get me undone as I'm moving closer.
Okay.
But otherwise...
And you're like inchworming over. You're like, you're gonna have like, if you didn't have a 6-pack before, you will.
Yeah, fucking shredded.
So, Alder, you eventually, through all the chaos, you're like dodging people. You're seeing Vindrin's tail whip around, and you're like waiting for it to kind of move over as you just hear more of this bellowing, unnatural dragon roaring as you're ducking under, and you just see Thor is starting to shake. And Thor, you're starting to lose consciousness as there's just a slick pool of just blood as he does not have a lower left arm anymore.
So where would you say his arm's cut off? Like at the elbow?
I would say like right above where the elbow would be. So like half a bicep.
Mid bicep, okay.
His favorite part to exercise.
Not anymore.
He has the right one.
Still got one more. I've got one more.
For now.
It's fine. Just got to focus on that one.
Double as big.
And I'm just going to go ahead and do what I can to... am I up to Thor now?
I would say you're up to Thor by now.
Okay, and I'm just going to go up to him and be like, fucking hell. We gotta try and stop you bleeding. We're gonna just like take fabric that I have around me and try and just wrap it around it. Maybe put some rope to it, and I'm just gonna look at him and be like, the only other thing I could do is try and burn it to cauterize it, but I don't think you want to feel that kind of pain too. And,
roll a medicine check before you have to get to the cauterization piece.
well, I was gonna say, am I able to hear Loki over the hustle and bustle?
I would say it's very muffled, but you see he's trying to say something and his mouth is covered. It's kind of up to you if you don't want him to have his mouth covered anymore.
I hearing him, I would know that he might be able to help in this situation. So realistically, before I got to any kind of cauterization or anything like that, I would try and open his mouth.
Okay. Go ahead and just roll a sleight of hand check, just because of the way the buckle is.
Okay.
It's a little tricky.
22.
Yeah. It takes you make quick work of it, as eventually, Loki, your mouth is free as you're like, bah, duh.
Oh, that tasted terrible. Get me out of here. And I mean, are they behind my back or in front of me?
You're just kind of like to the side. You're just like laying on your side, but I would say you are facing them.
No, my hands though. Are they in front of me or
hands.
behind my back?
They're behind your back.
Okay. Then I roll over and say, "Get my hands."
Okay.
Also, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome. Would it be another sleight of hand?
It'll be another sleight of hand.
Glover would like to help.
That would be a 17 without Glover's assistance.
17. It takes a little bit, but you're able to unbuckle all of because you have the advantage of they're not your arms and your arms aren't behind your back. As Thor is just bleeding more and more out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was like, we got to get your brother now.
Yeah, I know. And as I break open, I just start running almost like Fenrir. And how far away am I?
You're not too far away from him. You're like maybe halfway across the courtyard.
Okay, then yeah, I just scramble, and if it's far enough that I can get up to my feet, I will to book it. But otherwise, I just keep running, just like Fenrir.
So you and Alder, I'm going to have you make dex checks only for Vindrin's thrashing. Not that it's anything personal, but she's trying to clear as much as she can. While you roll that, Thok, as you see Manu charge over at Manutep, you see that he has his hand around this very tiny little orb, and you hear something in what you would assume would be kind of like Sanskrit or the language of where he's from. But he bellows something as his fist becomes this almost like iron fist, this just hand of just molten celestial purple energy that you saw before when he smited. And he just cracks Manutep across the jaw, and you hear it. And it's almost deafening as Manutep loses his grip on this soul. And you see Anya's soul just go up. And soon.
I'm still trying to break free because I'm frantic. I'm like, there's a sigh of relief there.
Manutep immediately goes for Manu. Now, what I will say about Manutep in this form, it is an astral form. He's not physically there. He's on the same plane, you would assume, possibly, as Manu. As they're able to interact with each other.
I can't ask them.
So,
I can't talk.
You can try to roll another strength check for me, see if you can get out.
I am. Would I still be raging from the last time or no?
I believe you lost consciousness at one point.
Okay, fair enough. So strength check, correct?
Correct.
How am I rolling? Oh my god, I'm so nervous. It's a
What are you nervous
D6.
about?
I don't know, like I'm just nervous. Nope, that. Oh, that sucked. 9.
It's very difficult to get out as you're kind of like the metal winds, as you're like, but to no real avail. But you see Manu and Manutep desperately fighting each other. It's almost like they're yin and yang. They know all of each other's mannerisms and moves. And a few that you actually see Manu like headbutt, which is something that you don't think he would do, but most likely has seen you or Thor do it.
Mentally, I'm gonna scream at Manu and be like, "Get me out! I can help!"
And he kind of barks back over at you, and he's like, "I'm trying. Big, scary, I don't know what, me trying to kill me? I don't know what'll happen if he gets me."
Don't let him.
Great idea. And you just hear Manu chuckling at him. So we will go back to Alder and Loki. What were your scores?
15.
15?
4.
Okay. So as Alder is kind of like bobbing, weaving, you see your brother dying. There is no Vindrin. There is no nothing. There is just, you lost your brother. You lost both of your brothers. And you just got him back. After all this time, and he is just bleeding out. And in that confusion, you get smacked with the tail. As, let me pull up the tail move. So, Loki does a 19 hit.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are going to take 14 points of bludgeoning damage as you kind of strike back and you hit one of the pillars and just kind of.
So when her tail hits me and I start flying through the air, you see, Thor! And I hit the back and I slide down. And as I pass out, you see Loki just reaching, no, as he collapses onto the ground.
I will say also, as you hit that pillar, your head smacks incredibly hard against it. Like there's a crack and there's an indent as you dazedly reach out and slunk.
Brother.
Right, what are you doing?
Fuck.
I'm dying. Oh no, you weren't talking to me?
I know.
Okay.
Yeah, death is all around me. I know that Loki, I think I have a second. Thor is bleeding out, so I'm still going to run over to Thor and try and do what I can to go ahead and try and see what I could do to wrap it up to try and stop the bleed first.
Okay, do a medicine check.
What I'm first going to do, though, is he still conscious or, like, barely conscious?
He's going in and out, man.
And I'm just like softly under my breath. You can hear Thor saying, "We lost again. I was here this time. We lost."
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a rope out of my my bag, and I'm literally just gonna put it in his mouth and say bite, and natural 20.
Okay, what are you trying to do?
First, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try and tourniquet it so that way to try and get the bleeding to stop, and then if the bleeding is not going to stop, I'm going to. I don't have much that I can do aside from possibly casting Produce Flame to try and cauterize it.
So I will say with your natural 20, you can attempt to stop the bleeding. However, there are several arteries that have been cut. And the amount of blood that is pouring out is, I mean, it's the left arm. It's directly located close to the heart. It's going to be gushing very, very quickly. And he's already lost at least a good pint.
So I got to cauterize pretty much. Don't have a choice.
Most likely.
Yeah, so I'll
And now he's saying he's not even like making eye contact with you. He's kind of looking past you. He's trying to focus, but pint of blood is gone. And he's like, go get Sif and Modi. Make sure they're safe. Make sure Sif and Modi are okay.
Sif and Modi are going to be fine, and I'm going to put the rope back in his mouth and say, bite, and I'm going to try and cauterize his arm with Produce Flame.
Okay. Do another medicine check for me. And I'll say it's with advantage because he's not moving. It's not,
Oh,
he's not thrashing or anything.
I mean, first roll was pretty solid. I didn't realize that on medicine checks.
Yeah, you rock on
am-
medicine checks.
Yeah, 24.
So soon, with your produce flame, you touch this searing flame to Thor's body, and Thor, you don't feel it because you are in such a state of shock and fatigue. The only thing you can smell is burning flesh that you are very familiar with, that smell, as opposed to like, oh, what's cooking? Burgers? You know that's exactly the smell of burning bodies.
And am I closer to Loki or Thok currently?
I would say you are closer to Thok, who is currently thrashing and looking in the direction of where Vindrin is kind of protecting Anya's body as these like Drugar are like.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to Thor's arm didn't get like vaporized or anything, did it? Like it's still there?
Oh, it's in there. It's hamburger meat, but it's in there.
Well, no, I'm saying because if not, what I'm going to do is in case we have a way that we can try and do some kind of restoration or healing spell, I'm just going to keep that arm near him so that way we can try and sew it back together.
Turn you into a lizard.
You're
And
okay.
I'm gonna turn to him and I'm gonna make him hold his own hand and I'll be like, I'll be right back. And I'm going to try and unclip Thok because I know Thok can help me heal. If
Can't
I'm
duck it.
closest to
Fuck
him.
it.
I mean, that's in the Bible, I'm pretty sure. So,
Do another dex check for the tail.
oh fucking hell, Vindrin! I thought we were cool. Oh, that one's not as good. That is a dex check. You said 9.
This is 28 here.
Holy shit.
Allegedly, yes.
Minor details. That will be 15 points of bludgeoning damage. You are smacked to the left side with the tail.
Didn't think Vindrin would TPK the party, but here we are.
Right?
All right, so I'm gonna get hit with that, and I'm gonna try. I don't get pumped into a pillar like Loki did, do I?
No, you don't, but you definitely get fucking banged up. You
Yeah.
lose balance, and I'll say you skid and slide to relatively where Thok is.
Yeah.
Just for
So
fun.
that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna try and see what I could do to. I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna look to him and say, "Hands and mouth."
Hands.
Okay.
Or,
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I'll just be like this.
You just like chicken winging.
Gotcha.
Jazz hands.
I'm gonna try and see what I can do to get him out of these chains. I'll
Okay.
take my lock picks out.
Do another. Do a lockpick check.
Okay. 23.
23. You're able to get one hand free. Go ahead and get the other one. As Thok, your right arm immediately drops, and it's fatigued from being up there for so long. As you see Manu still fighting with Manu Tab.
This die is getting kisses tonight. 22.
22. Thok, both of your arms are down. You look
Do
up
I-
between all the blood, and you're just kind of kneeling.
Do I have any of my stuff on me?
I would say your stuff is by where the gate is,
All right.
as they didn't break your stuff. They didn't take your stuff. They moved it,
Uh-oh.
but they didn't destroy it, or it was assumed probably when you died they would take it, but there were more pressing matters that were going
Yeah.
on.
Okay. And then my mouth is sewn, right? It's not. Okay.
For cinematic sake, before you do what you're going to do I see the Manu fight or can't see any of that?
You do not?
Then in that case, I'm going to run back towards Thor before Thok does anything, and I'm just going to be like, Thor and Loki, we need you. They're dying, and I'm going to run and I'm going to try and do like a Ronda Rousey like roll and carry on Thor, to run him over to Loki.
Over to where Loki's body is?
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to roll a strength check for that, because he's...
Yeah. No, this isn't gonna go well. But I know that I have to try and do that. So yeah, no, that didn't go well. That was a 4.
So you are struggling.
I had really good rolls, and I knew it was gonna happen.
So you are struggling and desperate to pick him up. Thok, what are you doing?
I am going for Eclipse if I see it.
I would say in the area that they're fighting, Eclipse is a little bit farther away. You will have to dodge the tail, but you can get to Eclipse. I would just need you to roll that.
Okay. And these two are next to Loki, or not Loki, Thor, right? One of them's unconscious, and the other one's.
Loki is about here. Thor and them are about here. You are about here.
Okay.
Eclipse is about here.
Okay. Then I'm gonna go straight towards Thor and Alder.
Okay.
Because Alder's with Thor, right? And I'm gonna be like I need it cut. Like I need something to cut it with. And
as
he doesn't have a knife.
Alder is trying to lift Thor up.
Then I'm just gonna keep running past him, and I'm gonna go towards Eclipse and try to slice the string off my mouth with the sword. I'm just gonna run my face across it.
Okay.
I'll dodge the tail if I have to.
Okay, go ahead and roll a dex check for the tail. But you can see it, so.
Oh, she's so big.
Check or save?
It's a check.
Oh, that was cocked. Okay, 16. How's my dex? Plus 0, 16.
16, you're able to push the tail to the side as you are just beelining for Eclipse. Eventually, you wrap your hands around and choke up on the handle as you look over, and it is just a fierce fight between Manu and Monotep, as it looks like both are starting to wane.
And I see that, and I see Thor, and I think of the conversation that we had in whatever realm we were in when I thought we were dead. And I turn away from Manu, and I run back to Thor as I use the sword to kind of slice the string off my lips.
Okay. As you scrape, and you're able to finally free your mouth, as it's just filled of that coppery iron of blood as you spit.
And when I get to Thor, I'm gonna grab him, especially the stub. Oh God, where's his arm, by the way?
It's in his other hand.
Perfect. I grab his other arm, and
So-
I'm gonna see if this works.
I will describe where his arm is. His arm is currently wedged in between two columns of that I described earlier or last session as archaic in nature, that kind of like a Chinese finger trap. The more you pull, the tighter it gets.
Oh God.
So you see a stub. You see where his arm was connected to the column.
Okay.
He's not holding his hand.
There's no way I'm gonna be able to pull that shit out without him dying. So I grab the arm that is the stump, and I'm gonna pump a level 4 cure wounds on it.
So I will say between the cauterization and your cure wounds, you are able to, it's incredibly scarred. The tissue is where it would be weeks, months of therapy and trying to get those nerve endings back. You're able to heal, and there is essentially a stump.
Right. Do you want me to roll hit points or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Level 4. Okay. That's a 6, 5, 4, and 3. So 11, 15, 18 plus 5 plus 2 plus a spell level 4 plus 11. So when I say it was 18, 18, 27.
Jesus.
You'll-
You see
Life-
the
life cleric.
streaks, and for that haziness and that desperation, there is a few moments of confusion, but eventually that high-pitched whining you hear roaring now, as you hear Vindrin roaring and screeching into the sky, as There are less and less Drugar. What I will say, Falk, you do see that Manu and Manutep are still engaged in combat. And like I said, they both look incredibly tired. And eventually, both of them try to smite at each other, where you see this pink flaming fist and this purple flaming fist connect, and you hear a crack. And go ahead and roll a d4 for me.
D4. 1.
Okay. So you see Manutep, you hear him kind of cackle. He says something in this Sanskrit language, and you see him kind of sift and disappear through the ground. As Manu, where he was very opaque, he is very hazy now. As you see him kind of sit.
I look at Alder, I'm like, I only have one more healing spell, and the only one that I can think of to give it to is Loki to get him back up.
I have a potion if you have to go, like, use it on yourself, and I'd just be like, he just helped Thor, so I'm just going to sprint over to Loki to give it to him.
Oh, wait, on myself. Every time I heal somebody, I heal as well. How many hit points was I at? 1?
You were.
Yeah.
Sorry, just because I raised my constitution, it automatically raised my hit points. Okay. I forgot that every time that I heal somebody else or use a healing spell, I heal as well. Oh, okay. Up to you. Save it, give it to him. I don't care. He needs to be up.
We can always get more. I'm gone. I've already been sprinting.
I have 3 healing potions. Yeah, fuck that. I'm gonna feed one to Loki and give myself one. I didn't realize that. I just looked at my inventory.
So, as you guys are kind of doing that, panicking, Thor, eventually you see Vindrin's massive body start to slow down, and this roaring starts becoming more of kind of a cry and a whimper. As eventually, as there are just mounds of just decayed and acid spat and blunt force trauma Drugar around, the dragon gets smaller and smaller. Until eventually it turns into, you would assume, like maybe a younger Vindrin, as you see almost like an Amazonian. This very tall, lean, tan. Her hair is pulled back. And she seems to be in almost like Anya was in her 60s, but she looks almost like Robin Wright in Wonder Woman, where she's just lean and dense. Except for you see in the corners small scales of copper and greens in her hair. As she's on her knees and she's just weeping over Anya's body.
I'm going to kind of kneel down in front of her and just quietly be like, Vindrin, I'm so sorry.
And hearing her voice, she looks at you and you see those eyes that you're incredibly familiar with. And she immediately just grabs you, puts her arms around your shoulders, and this massive, strong dragon is just weeping on your shoulder.
I give you my word. We will find Ares, and I will cut him in 2 pieces. He will pay for everything he did here today.
And as she kind of holds on to you, Alder Thok, you go over to Loki. What are you doing to heal him?
I gave him a healing potion, 9 HP.
I gave him one as well, 7 hit points.
So take that 16 and...
Sorry?
I look at Alder and I look at Queen Anya, who's on the floor. I'm assuming her body's on the floor.
Her body's on the floor, and you do see this woman that is currently crying in Thor's arms.
And I'm gonna prop up Loki. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Now, am I unconscious, or am I just stable, or am I conscious?
You're conscious.
Okay.
You kind of come to. You're not doing so hot. You have a fucking killer headache.
That's why I said I'm gonna prop him up, and I'm going to take it slow because I did see that he took quite a head injury, and I'm gonna walk him.
A severe concussion.
I'm gonna walk him over to Thor and what I assume is Vindrin.
Whenever I walk with them, and when we get there, I'm gonna prop on my sword, just exhausted because I'm depleted, and be like, I can't do it today, but if you find me a diamond worth 500 gold, I could bring her back tomorrow. If there's a body, I can bring her back. I wasn't able to do it for Duke, but I could do it for the Queen.
Are we sure the rules still work that way?
That's worth a shot. What's the worst that we'll lose? 500 gold diamond? A diamond is worth more than the life itself.
I mean, I'm willing to try anything, but I just... After what you've described... Have all of us seen it? No.
No, Doc is the only one who saw
Right.
all the demons and things that are taking those souls. And
I thought
the
Loki did.
Chapter.
When Duke died, I thought Loki saw something.
Not in that regard.
Okay. What was it that I saw then? I thought we saw the same thing.
I'd have to rewatch the session, but I mean, he's the only one who can see Manutep and the little demons.
I mean, it's worth a try. We can look. It's probably not going to be here, but
It doesn't matter where it is, as long as we have her body, like, I can bring her back. Theoretically, you know.
there's got to be something of that value maybe in the castle. Would I know of anything maybe at the temple? Dice Daddy?
You can roll an intelligence check as Vindrin has calmed down.
Not great.
And she's just listening to you guys.
That is a 9.
So, unfortunately, not really. You didn't see any massive gems. Eventually, as you guys are talking, Thok, you feel, because I would assume you're all around the body, and Vindrin gently places a hand on your forearm, Thok, and she looks up at you and she goes, she's been fighting for 70 years. And she looks at you almost desperate. Just let her rest.
You sure?
And she goes, she is the last of the Triquetra. And she has been fighting since she was a little girl. Let her sleep for now.
But the apocalypse
is going to get up, and he's going to walk over to Vindrin. Would you be opposed to me taking her somewhere else? I know I don't know how burial rites here work, but as she should be buried on Asgard. If you are willing to give me your blessing, I'd like to do it myself.
And she looks at you and she takes her hands on both sides of your head and gently kisses your crown and goes, I trust you, Prince.
We're gonna help with that, by the way.
I'm gonna grab Loki and make sure he's still standing. Are you all right, brother?
It's I've got. We can't let her die. I can't let you die. And Loki, in his fog, casts minor illusion to create a diamond in his hand, but it doesn't quite look right. It's instead of being that pure, clear, bright white with light passing through it, when light passes through it, it's only the warmer colors of the color spectrum, and it has this yellowy, marbled hue to it. It's like, Diamond. I'm so tired.
We need to rest desperately. How does I want to turn and kind of survey Valoria, or what's left? How does everything look?
Everything is essentially
Are we ground level everywhere?
your ground level.
Got it.
So if you want to go up and survey, you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Is Jarnbjorn anywhere?
Bjorn is wedged in a faraway rock as Anya was utilizing Yarnbjorn.
I'm gonna pick it up and put it on my back,
Okay.
and then I'm going to kneel down at the body again and just kind of remember this moment, lock it in, and then Thor's gonna take off. And before he does, he's gonna look at everyone. I'm gonna do a quick. I'm gonna do a quick surveillance in the area. I'll be back shortly. And I'll look at Loki and I'll just be like, brother, sit, rest. I'll be back soon. And I'm gonna down a quick healing potion because I can't do both because I've only got one arm.
Yeah.
While he does that, I'm gonna grab the nearest banner that has her sigil. I'm assuming there's many around being the Valoria.
Anya's, yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm gonna respectfully drape it over her body.
Okay.
And if / when we do decide to move, I'll pick her up. And
Okay.
I'll take care of transporting just to make sure that her body is as respected as it can be.
Do me a favor as you're getting the banner. Go ahead and roll a religion check on the sigil.
That is 18, 19, 21.
21. So with the 21, her symbol is the symbol of Odin, which are 3 interlocking triangles. But where you traditionally have seen them in one kind of color scheme, this one's in a different color scheme. It's to the top is blue, light blue. The middle is this very like mucky green, and at the bottom is this very almost cheerful off-white color. As there are wordings, there is lettering under it that you do see, and it is in common, and it says the Triquetra, essentially.
Triquetra?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just look over at Manu to see if he's still fine, but I don't really say anything.
He's still very hazy, and he looks very, very disconjoined.
Okay. And that's what I'll do for now.
Okay. Alder, you doing anything?
At this point, I'm just going to try and just survey and see if Creed and Valdana have come back around.
They eventually make their way over, and there's a look of sadness on both of them as they slowly kind of approach Anya's body as both of them roll over. And you see these two grieve over their family as eventually Vindrin kneels down next to them and she puts her long, strong arms around them as now it's time for her to be strong.
And then I'm just going to kind of give them like just pats on the back, and because I'm not really good at stuff like that, but when I know that when I freed Valdana from the little prison that she was in, there was still other people that were in there. Did they get out, or should I go try and get them?
You do see that they are still in the containment. It does look like it was kind of swung back over during the commotion, but it doesn't take long for you to reopen as you see Brock
I think
Tibrin.
it's Brock, Tibrin, and Führer.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As
And if anyone is super worse for wear, I'll give them a healing potion as well.
they all look kind of fucked up, but Brock kind of puts his, when you offer it to him, because he looks the most fucked up, he puts his arm down and he just kind of puts a hand on your shoulder before he kind of just takes you in and pats you on the back and takes you into this kind of bear hug, and he goes, I'm glad you're all right.
Likewise. And then I'll extend healing potions out. All three of them, I'm just going to give one. Even if Brock denies it, I'm going to do like that cool guy like handshake where I'm like giving him a tip, but instead I'm giving him a healing potion. Can't really conceal the whole thing in my hand, but he can easily conceal the whole thing in his hand.
He can. And eventually they kind of come out, and Dirt, Führer, Captain Führer immediately sees the body of Anya and kneels down and begins praying. As Tibrin runs straight for you, Thok. Are you okay? Fuck, your eye.
I'll be fine. I'm just tired. I'll be fine.
And he just kind of puts his head on your chest as eventually, Thor, you go up, and what is left of Valoria almost seems like a crater of a giant meteor or a fist that just came down. I will say even the temple seems slightly fucked up. Not to the extent of everything else. It looks like the magic that Lysander was using was keeping it, but he couldn't keep it the whole time.
I would go there and see if anyone else that was there is safe still.
You do see the occasional body outside, of crushed or man, woman, child, and eventually you do go in, and the church is currently huddled up, and they kind of shake as you open the door, but the tension kind of eases as you see Lysander, and he is completely flush, exhausted, and he goes, I'm sorry, I couldn't keep it up. And he looks at you and he goes, did we win?
No, we didn't. And I'm gonna put my hand, the only one I have, on his shoulder and just be like, you did wonderfully. There was nothing more you could have done. This failure is on us.
And puts his hand over and he goes, it's on all of us.
We'll make it right. I have 2 more healing potions, and I'm just going to give them both to Lysander and just let him know whoever needs them, give them to them, and see if you can go somewhere, get to safety. We're figuring out next steps now.
And he looks at you and he goes, the keep is still the safest place on Valoria, so if you need it, it's here.
You guys go to the keep. We'll meet you there shortly.
Okay. And you kind of go out and fly back up. Eventually, kind of coming down to everything is starting to quiet as the suns are starting to crest on the shoreline and starting to set.
Well, go ahead.
Yes, Loki.
Yeah. When Thor told me to sit, I would have not sat early. So I just want to throw that out there. I would have stood and started walking around, kind of No, seriously, I'm going to start fumbling back toward where I was hit, just mumbling, Odin, Ares, 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 as I'm using my staff to almost drag myself around the area. Is Ned still tied up?
Ned is still tied up, but he's still there.
I would start going toward him, just dragging myself, slowly getting better at walking, but not without aid.
Okay.
And as I get close, just foggy-eyed and just looking at Ned. Does he look back? What's he doing?
He does look back at you. And go ahead and roll a, I'll say an animal handling check.
18.
You kind of put your hand out, and his head kind of bows as you take the muzzle off. And you see that it is all around where that was. It rubbed and it's raw and uncomfortable.
Seeing that, I'll have Glover attempt to go around to the different things chaining him up.
Yeah.
And undo them. And with my last bit of energy, while staring into Ned, I grab his face and caress it, and I cast my Cure Wounds, my final spell, to give him 6d8 of healing. And with that, all my energy is expelled, and Loki begins to slump down as he finally just collapses.
And Ned kind of puts his head under you as you collapse and fall on top of his head, as he kind of just keeps you there. Yes, Thok.
So as the sun sets before it sets, I'm gonna, after I've consoled Tiberin, I'm gonna go to Anya's body, and I'm gonna ritual cast it. So what is ritual casting, like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go through and ritual cast ceremony and take powdered silver and kind of like almost like spread it on her while I'm muttering in Orcish. And like I know that they're gonna do their funeral stuff and everything in Asgard, but I want to ensure, especially with everything happening with Manutep, that I want to cast ceremony, and I'm going to do funeral rites, and I'm going to touch her forehead. And this, you touch one corpse, and for 7 days they can't become undead, short of a wish spell.
Right. Yes, it is a ritual. However, the ritual takes an hour. But
Then
you can't begin to start doing it. And
I will do that then.
I have a feeling that you're going to be in the area for a hot minute. So
yeah, I don't see me doing much of fighting or nothing, but yeah, I'll be doing that.
And then when I would have noticed that Thok went and put the banner over Anya, just going around kind of picking up on Thok doing that, kind of at least covering up the face, I would kind of just go around and see if I find any like Valorian residents or soldiers who have fallen. What I'd do is I kind of go around. I don't have that much fabric, but I would cast Druidcraft to kind of put some like leaves over the top of them, just so that way at least their face is covered.
Okay. So eventually you start organizing and respecting the dead and the fallen soldiers, as eventually the captain joins you in, crossing their arms and putting 2 pence on their eyes. As eventually, like I said, Thor, you come back, I'll say 20 minutes later, amongst everything of you trying to survey everything. You do see the boats. The boats are still, you see the horizon and the Wandering Rose are fairly away from Valoria, but they're staying within the area. Getting distance, but not leaving, essentially.
Right. I would go back and let everyone know at least in the area. Lysander and group from the temple are still alive. They are in the keep. And that is about all that's left of Valoria.
No, it's to us, right?
So, the way I see it is we can either leave people here where bad people are, where they go, where they know they are, and let them try and rebuild, or we can move them
Where?
to an island protected by a storm.
What would be the easiest way to move them?
I mean, the ships are probably about an hour off the coast, and we could have them sail in. It would take a little bit, but if Creed can get her engine going and your crew can tag along, I don't know how that works. I'm not a boat person. We could move everyone to the Isle of Storm. It's where we want to set up a headquarters anyway, and there's a lot of space, a lot of room, and again, it is protected by a storm. So
That's my worry. It's the storm. How do we get past it?
it's my island, and I will make the storm stop.
Okay. And unless anybody else opposes.
I look at Alda. Any thoughts on this?
I think it's probably best to not live in the memory of what just happened here for a little while. So it might be best to try and relocate.
Doesn't need to be forever. If they don't want to stay there, then we won't make them. But it might be the safest place to take them at the moment.
I mean, right now it's almost it almost feels like the earth's been salted, at this point, and they're going to need a better place to make a life for themselves than what we have right here.
And I look at Alda, and I put my hand on his shoulder, and I say, "You did great today."
I'm just going to look at him and say, yeah, but unfortunately still could have done better. And I'm just going to kind of, at that point, just kind of crack my neck and continue doing what I was doing, because it feels good to be complimented, but it hurts knowing that we still failed.
We'll get him back. Don't worry. And I'm going to walk up to Vindrin.
And she looks at you, and she's looking out at, almost like she's just surveying the landscape, but like looking past it, as she acknowledges you without really needing to look at you.
We believe going to the Island of Storms would be best, transporting everyone from here to there, at least temporarily. Being in Valoria might not be the best idea right now. We don't know who or what is coming to these shores, so.
And she looks at you and she goes, yes, that's smart, yes.
I'm sorry, Vindrin. I thought we were going to come out on the other side on this, and we came up short.
And she reaches her hand out, and eventually it finds yours as she kind of holds it, as she just kind of looks out, and then she goes, I don't remember anything in the last 70 years, and it just like that.
So you don't know who I am? or you do know who I am.
And she smiles and she goes, "Yes, I remember you, Donner."
Ah, yeah. No, it's we're just doing Thor now. It's okay.
And she kind of looks and she goes, "So many things have changed, but so many have remained the same."
Not to. How many people can you take with you if you were to, you know, big dragon-y?
Safely.
Yeah, preferably. I mean,
I'm big.
yeah, you're quite large.
I'm not several carriages large.
No.
Safely, I can transport at least 5-6 people.
Okay, what if we got some carriages? Could you hold them and fly instead of on your back?
I could attempt to do that, yes.
As long as it's going to be safe. That's kind of the only thing that I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking that as well. High air velocities with wooden ships and
Right.
cargoes could possibly splinter.
Yeah, maybe we don't do that. Where's Loki? He's good at this. And I kind of look around for my brother.
And you see him slumped over Ned's head.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. The brains of the operation looks to be not here.
And she
And I'm
starts
just gonna-
walking with you. Like she immediately just starts walking towards where Loki is, and she goes,
We know he's the brains. Got it. Yeah, it's fine.
"He's clever."
Yeah. Too much for his own good sometimes.
Less sad though.
Most times, actually. Most times.
So, eventually, you two do get over to Loki.
And I'm going to drop the hammer, and I'm going to kind of grab him by the scruff of like the collar. And I'm going to pick him up and just kind of be like, "Come on, brother, find your legs here."
Loki is attempting to, and just Talos.
No, it's the other one.
Oh, Loki.
Yeah. Yep. You're having an internal monologue externally.
Where's and then Loki's eyes meet Vindrin. It's like, there you are.
Here I am.
Good job. And he starts to collapse again.
I'm going to throw his arm over my shoulder, and I'm going to kind of like grab my arm around his waist just to keep him some form of steady.
And you're able to, and she kind of smiles, and eventually she starts cooing at Ned. And she goes, "He's quite fond of that one."
Of Loki? He likes Loki? Nobody likes Loki.
Well, and she kind of looks and goes, he seems rough around the edges, both your brother and this one, but Arian here, he has a good heart.
Sorry, well, his name is Ned. I don't know if you picked up on that or not.
And she smiles and she goes, "Might want to ask Ned if he thinks he's a Ned."
I turned to look at Loki. You didn't even ask consent to call him Ned.
It's always Ned. He didn't say what his name was, so I gave him Ned. I have no other names to give but Ned.
I mean,
You should know that, brother.
You have a lot of other... It's fine. Never mind.
Go Ned.
So Ned kind of follows Vindrin as you guys start, I'm assuming, moving.
Yeah. We're going back to the Island of Storms.
Okay. You're going back right now?
Well, no, I'm telling Loki.
Oh, okay.
Ah, yes, of course. Where else could we go? This whole place is gone. We failed, brother. Ragnarok is upon us.
Not yet. We beat Ares within an inch of his life, brother. You and me. Just you and me. With the 4 of us. Shit, 5 if we can convince the dragon lady to stay around.
I don't think it matters. They're all dead. Wait, was it my... I forget again. Was it my vision or his vision?
It was mine.
It was his.
And you told me all of it, though?
Yeah.
They're dead. There's no more. As... Are we walking? West Wing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
West Wing walk and talk.
so as his passion builds, they're dead. He stumbles again. They're dead, brother. The one thing we had to prevent. We let it happen.
It's not over yet.
Look around you.
Loki, it can't be over. This isn't going to happen like Asgard. Talos is out there. We will find reinforcements. I will find the fucking children of Melora if I have to, and drag them here myself so that we can put together an army.
Armies are no good against time. And he's staring off into the distance as if he's looking at something. A memory. Premonition.
We need to go back to Asgard.
Let's go back to Asgard.
We want to bury Anya there. And I want to free our people. Bring them back to the Island of Storms.
How are we going to get them there? And Loki starts to shake it off. He's starting to become himself again.
Helm still has control of the Bifrost. Or, I'm sorry, Heimdall has control of the Bifrost. I'm still not used to talking to you. I'm still, you're still Dremel in my head, but you're not.
Would you like me to be Dremel again?
No, I would not like you to be Dremel again.
So back to Asgard. Get our people. Take them to the Isle of Storms.
Get
And
these
then what?
people to the Isle of Storms.
Your own little captive worshippers. Everything you've always wanted.
Not captives, brother. They can come and go as they please. The storm is there to protect them. All they simply must do is ask. I will take it away.
I sure hope they see it that way.
After what happened here today, I'm sure an island surrounded by a storm as a sign of protection is going to be more positively taken than you anticipate.
Perhaps. You are often right. Yes, of course. What am I saying? Of course. We do what we must. We will take them to the Isle of Storms, and we will defeat Ares. Isn't that right, everyone? Yes, everyone? Huh.
And you see everyone's just like on the ground.
Come on, get up. We have work to do. We must take down Ares and his army.
Roll a performance check for that. At disadvantage.
Hold on. 8. Though he is doing it sarcastically. Trying to convince himself, but he can't shake it.
Eventually, Jessica does kind of come up to you while you're kind of like having a nervous breakdown, and she kind of
Spiraling. We call it spiraling.
spiraling. Kind of gently puts her shoulders over you and like her hands over your shoulders and goes, "It's okay. Just Let's take a moment.
Just it's not.
Breathe.
It's not enough.
Then we will find what is enough, but not now.
We need to get to the moon. We need to get to Moradin.
Who?
Moradin, you know, dwarf guy, makes all of our weapons. No.
Roll a history check at disadvantage, Loki.
18.
Big brain boy.
Fuzzy. You do know that there is a little man that lives on the moon, but it could be Morocco. It could be Matthew. You're not sure what he looks like. You know he's short. You think. And he's on the moon.
Oh, Jonathan, you know, the guy that lives on the
Jonathan?
moon.
Oh, yeah, Matthew, Johnny.
He made Jonathan.
Yeah, of course. The man who makes our armor, the very short man who makes all of our armor and weapons, of course.
Thor, go ahead and roll a history check as well. But at advantage. Yes, Thor.
Oh, that's going to be real good, actually. 22.
Yeah, Moradin is very big. He's a dwarf, but he's like an old school dwarf. He towers over mostly everyone he meets.
Right. Yeah, little guy. Yeah, him. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Of course I remember. Steel trap up here.
Yeah, no, they call you the big brain boy on the mountain for nothing, you know?
Of course. Because I often visit mountains. So why would they not call me that?
Yeah, why would they not? I don't even know.
Yes, we are truly having a conversation. As Loki's starting to look inward as he's confused at his own confusion.
Jessica just kind of looks at you. Are you okay?
Yes, of course. I am always okay. I will make it through as I always do. And I'm here to help you, brother. What is it that we need to do?
Can I do an insight check?
Yeah, Doc, go ahead and do an insight check. And then Loki, go ahead and do a deception check.
Wait, what am I deceiving?
No, not deceiving, sorry. Just don't roll. You're fine.
Okay.
What's your insight check, Doc?
My insight plus 10 is 27.
Okay. He seems very confused, but he seems earnest. It doesn't look like he's up to something.
No, but I mean, like, when he's saying that he's okay, I can clearly tell that he's not okay.
He's very confused, but kind of the lights aren't all up there, but it could just be the concussion.
Okay.
The fun cushion.
The not so fun cushion.
Creed, can you transport all of the people on your ship to the Isle of Storms?
And she looks at you and she goes, yeah, I can do that.
Is there any way you could, like, get Thok's ship there faster? I know you have the superpower motor thingy, but I would assume it would rip his in half if you tried to pull it.
I mean, the Horizon's been through a lot. Like, don't underestimate her.
And she kind of looks at you, Thok, and then looks back at Thor and goes, I saw it sink at least twice.
Yeah, no, so it would rip it in half.
Float.
And then I just pop out and I'm like, boats.
If I remember right, I think you sunk it once.
No, I definitely did.
We need to get the people from the keep. I'll look at Captain Fira, and it's so weird calling him that.
Yeah.
And I will.
He's resting his hands on his plate mail.
Can you communicate with Lysander?
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay. How do you feel about this plan? We want to take you guys from here and put you on an island surrounded by a storm.
Let's see.
And
it's a storm controlled by me.
It's not safe.
Shut up.
I've never been to the Isle of Storms myself, but the Queen did speak fondly of it when she used to go. It should be large enough to accommodate. The issue is
Uh-huh.
they don't have a queen.
Who's next in command? Do you have a hierarchy?
Doc, he kind of looks at you and he goes, Doc, you're looking at him.
They
It was-
could not be in better hands then.
And you see this 21-year-old kid. Just, you see this kind of worry line, and he goes, it was supposed to be Duke, then like me, like last minute.
Yeah, but I was supposed to have two eyes as well for a long, long time. Things don't always go how they're supposed to be.
And
His
then
eye is
Thor,
almost like
Thor
fully
is going to
closed.
look at Fira and Thok and just go,
I mean, from what I've heard, it's good to be the king. Isn't that a thing that people say?
people say that. I've heard that.
Well,
You look like the piss boy.
You know what you mean?
I'll get it later.
Make a great king, because you don't want it. Those that want to be kings and queens do not make great rulers. Those that don't want it know the responsibility and how heavy the head that wears the crown is. You know the responsibility behind it. How long have you been with her?
And he kind of looks and he goes, yeah, no, I'll take care of them. And until we figure something else out, of course.
You are more than welcome to stay on the island as long as you'd like. It does not need to be a forever home. It is not a prison. It is not... If nobody wants to go, if they want to stay here in Valoria, they can. But I just think maybe a fresh start would be beneficial.
And Fair looks at you and he goes, no, it would be wise.
Well,
There's only 2 avatars that I know, at least in this area, so we have to hide. And
Thor's going to grab him by the breastplate and bring him inches in front of his face.
yeah,
Don't fucking die.
you and my mentor would get very, very well along.
I don't know what that means, but I
Don't know
need
what a
you
mentor
alive.
is?
No,
Yeah.
I don't know who it is. I promise that guy is probably an asshole.
He is.
Anyway,
And,
Don't. fucking die. You need to lead these people, and I'm going to need your help with other things.
Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it.
For now, I need you to rest. Call Lysander, get him here, and just take care of your people. And I'll let him go.
He looks and kind of puts hand over the breastplate and takes one last look at Anya before he starts heading over to where the keep is.
hey, Dirt. Or,
He
They
stops
call you
and
Dirt? Oh my
looks-
god, that's a terrible name.
sorry, your Highness, I guess.
Fucking King Dirt.
Captain Dutt.
While we're in Asgard, the horizon is under your command. Whatever you need, just ask Sue.
Okay. I will. I'll see you soon, Doc.
See you soon.
And he kind of cracks and starts going. Eventually, Brock kind of talks to Jessica, and you just hear him kind of seeing if she's okay. And Valdana is just kind of sitting and kind of just looking at the tapestry and Tibrin is by you, Thok.
How are you holding up?
And Tibrin kind of looks at you and he goes, I'm actually fine. I'm more worried about you.
I mean, I've been through worse, honestly. I mean, if you're the one that has to look at this, so.
And kind of looks at you and he goes, we can get you an eye patch. You'll look rather dashing, I think.
Very distinguished.
He
But
smiles. Very distinguished.
it'll make it more interesting to watch the sun setting at night as I pull him in closer.
Yeah,
As
and you
we're-
see the hues turn from these dull grays and oranges, almost like Apocalypse Now-ish, where it just seems like a haze. Eventually it turns into those fuchsias and purples.
I need you to do me a favor.
Yeah, anything.
Please. No joking around, no fucking around. Things just got way more real than I was expecting. But I need you to stay alive while I'm gone.
Okay. You have to do the same as well.
I'll do my best.
What if I made a promise and you had to make a promise back?
Go on.
And he kind of looks and go ahead and roll another insight.
Not as good. 14.
14. It's not too hard. He seems nervous. And eventually he takes kind of like your big hand in both of his smaller hands and he goes, when you get back. And he kind of kneels and one knee touches the floor and he goes, when you come back, Thok, Morning Light, I want to marry you. So you have to come back. You have to say yes.
I look around.
Everyone is
Exactly.
just like, and Jessica's like, I can plan the wedding. I can plan the wedding. And Brock's like, shut up.
Yes, of course I'm gonna say yes. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind. Gives me more of an incentive to come back.
As soon as he does
Alive.
that, Loki
Yeah.
casts Minor Illusion to make it look like a flock of doves are flying over them.
Subtlety is not any of their strong suits, are there?
And I'm
Hooray!
going to druid craft a bouquet of flowers, and then druid craft a little rainbow over their heads. And
The doves
Guys,
are
this is just a proposal. This isn't the wedding.
the doves
Yeah, I
are
know, but-
spiraling around the rainbow.
I'm gonna just look at Tippin and be like, I think we needed something positive today.
He smiles and he goes, so come back, and then we can spend the rest of our lives together.
We'll do. And in Primordial, I'll say, I love you as I pull him in.
And he responds back as you have this very nice moment. And Creed is like, I know what the color palette's going to be already. Like, I already know what it's going to be. Oh my
And
god,
since-
I haven't done a wedding in so long. Oh my god.
And since I don't know Primordial, I'm just gonna look over to Thor and be like, did they just burp at each other? Like,
I also don't speak primordial, so I'll be like, yeah, it sounded like that. That sounds
Definitely
right.
burped in each other's mouths.
Is that maybe that's a them thing? Maybe that's like what's special to them.
hey,
They just
look,
It's like our thing.
yeah.
keeps them happy.
Brock's like, I wish someone would burp in my mouth. Just kidding.
Oh, Brock, don't even worry about it, man.
So did-
You'll find somebody. They'll burp in
there's
you,
someone
right
out
in
there.
your mouth.
Thor,
Yes.
you have fantastic burps.
I am already married. Sorry.
I
It's just a
think
burp.
this is getting off the rails. So
There are
Um,
no rails around here.
Not anymore,
So-
apparently.
I'm going to turn and look at Vindrin and ask her when she can transform back into an awesome dragon.
And she looks at you and she goes, "It might take me a minute."
I mean, take your time. I just think we should get there before everyone else so that we can not have a storm around the island, and kind of I can go talk to the locals and let them know that no one is invading. You know, it would have been bad, probably.
And she looks at you very coy and she goes, "Thor, I was able to circle the entire material plane in an afternoon. I think we'll get there."
Cool.
So I think she's saying we could take a nap tonight if we need to.
I'm saying I want to take a nap tonight.
Okay.
Oh, that sounds great. Let's all take naps.
I'm going to ask both captains of the ships to leave now, just because we will still beat them there, and I don't think it's safe on Valoria for tonight.
And Creed looks and she goes, "I can try to get in contact with the Horizon, and we can let them know to come back, and we'll unload and we'll ship out."
Find whatever rations we can at the temple, get them on the boats, and send you guys on your way.
Good deal.
Plan.
If Creed is going towards the docks and Tiburon, I'm assuming Tiburon's going with her, I'm going to take off my necklace that I have had since day one. I'm going to obviously keep my holy symbol, but the rest of the necklace I'm putting around him. And I'm going to be like, oh, don't lose that. And I'm coming back for it.
Can't really take back an engagement gift, but okay.
It's not. Damn you. I love
I'm
you.
just gonna
Kisses you on the
whisper,
nose.
and I'm gonna pop up and whisper in his ear, be like, "You better get him a nice ring, then, huh?"
I'll work on that later. Okay. Bye. I'll miss you. Bye. Shoo.
He
Shoo.
kisses you, and eventually he leaves with Creed.
So what now, boys?
Unless you want to say anything to Creed, Loki.
Hold
Oh.
on. Sorry. Notes.
Okay. I was just
Um,
saying I didn't know if you wanted to say anything to her.
Yeah, so we're about to head out.
Yeah, you smell really bad and you're ugly and stuff.
Yeah.
She's literally all the opposites of that.
Yeah, so
Quite lovely.
we're about to go, though?
She's about to go to the
she's about
docks
to leave.
to
Okay.
start getting everything prepared.
Then yes. As they start to leave, I look at Thor and say, I'll be back. And I start walking to catch up with her.
They call
Is he
him the
still wobbly?
Levidator.
Is he still wobbly? He's like a little bit.
I'm
He's
a
like
little wobbly.
serpentining.
But I've got
He's very Captain Jack.
yeah, I've got Mage Hand kind of supporting me, so as I fall to the left, he pushes me to the right.
That thing can only move 5 pounds. I don't know how hard you're
10
falling
pounds?
with the mage hand.
It's 10
catching you.
pounds.
It's like poking. It's guiding.
Yeah. You catch it early, it's not much of an issue. Pretty sure it's 10 pounds.
I think it's 5.
Eventually,
pounds.
from your wobbling, you're like, hey, where you going?
Yeah, where you going? Hey, Creed. Hey.
Romance.
Yeah.
Tiburon kind of just looks over at Creed, and Creed just kind of nods over, gestures. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm foggy, but I know I'm sorry, and I'm going to miss you, and I hope you're safe, and Creed, yes, please stay safe.
Yes.
I only feel whole when you're around, and if you're not around, I fear what will happen. So, I need you to stay safe.
And you see a kind of smirk, and she goes, "Well, I need a date for the wedding, so you have to stay safe too, yeah?"
Yes. Thor's wedding. I will be there, and probably the best man. I would hope so. I'm the best man.
And she kind of looks at you, and she looks not exasperated, but she looks concerned. And she goes, "Where do you think you are right now?"
I'm on Midgard.
It's not wrong.
Gathering things for Thor's wedding, of course. After that proposal.
Oh, fuck. So close.
Almost
Oh,
there.
not Thor. No. Sorry, not Thor. It's Sif's wedding. Thor's just there. It's clearly for Sif. And I have a little plan.
Oh,
Oh, yes, I will. There are too many eyes and ears, but I will fill you in later. Day of the wedding. It'll be fun.
she kind of looks at you, and she presses her lips to yours. And I will say that she does cast a lesser restoration on you. So I'll say that you know it's not Thor's wedding, but there are very large gaps in between Stoneward, before Stormward, and in between Stoneward, and where you are now.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I will see you at Doc's wedding. Of course, there's no date yet, but I'm sure they won't take too long. You know how silly long engagements can be.
Please just reach out when you can. I'll have an ear out.
I will. Just keep your mind open, your heart clear, and as he's putting up this facade, he can feel just the gunk in his brain.
Yeah.
And just stay safe.
And she smiles and she goes, "You as well." Kisses you again before heading out to the docks.
My lady.
My lord.
Yes.
So, eventually the four of you reconvene back at the capital. Eventually, Bach, you are able to scoop up the shroud that's on you, and Valdana does not leave your side as Vindrin is taking Ned by the... he's just following her. It's like no one else exists as you guys kind of slowly start making your way towards the capital. Are you guys talking about anything? Are you doing anything?
Who is Valdana standing near?
Bach.
Me, because I'm
Got it.
carrying Anya.
Got it. Then I will avoid that confrontation until later. Thor is at the front. He's on point. And just kind of, because there's no one else in front of him, he's kind of wallowing a little bit. Because he knows there was failure, and he holding the hammer, it feels like just a little bit heavier than it normally does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not great.
And as you guys are walking in this kind of silence, Vindrin very softly starts singing in, you would assume, Draconic. And it's this very nice, calming song as eventually Valdana kind of joins in with her and harmonizes with her. And it kind of just, it fills that uneasy quiet into a comfortable kind of silence as they kind of sing softly to each other. So, eventually you do get to the keep. Lysander and Dirt are grouping everyone together. They're in communication with the ships as they know that they are about almost 30 minutes out now as things are starting to come back in. They're preparing. It's kind of a big commotion, and Lysander eventually kind of catches up with you, and he goes, me and Abigail checked all the beds. Everything is made. We should be able to sleep comfortably tonight as we evacuate.
Perfect. Safe travels. We should still be there before you, and you can communicate with me by well praying. So if there's any issue, or let me know.
And he nods and he goes, I will. I would also assume that you would get there before us. And he looks over at Vindrin and he goes, it is so wonderful to see you again. And she smiles and she goes, you as well, Lysander.
Safe travels. Let us know if there's any bumps along the way.
I will make you aware of bumps. As you go through the hearth. And Ned does stay up in the upstairs because he unfortunately cannot fit. He can't shrink himself down to go through the hearth, unfortunately, but he will be fine. As
Ned's dead. Oh no!
Oh no!
I shouldn't have made it rhyme.
That's why.
So the 4 of you make it to the keep. 5 of you, 6 of you, and Valdana and Abigail have their own meeting and their own embrace. And Thok, you kind of go with Vindrin into Anya's room and you gently place her onto her bed. And I would say Thor, Loki, Alder, if you're there with him and with Vindrin, just making sure everything is kind of peachy. Thor, go ahead and roll a perception check for me.
15.
15. So with your 15, you kind of look out onto that balcony that you've seen before, and you see the loop, and you see the enchantment, and very far in the distance you see a road that just kind of goes through this farm.
I kind of just stare at it. Vindrin,
And she looks at you. Yes, Thor.
where is this? I've been here.
And she goes up and she looks and she goes, oh, this is where Anya was raised. This is off the coast, some very small farm. Great, good people. They because you've been gone. They've been looking after your family for many, many, many years, almost like keepers. They took her in when she was a baby, after her father. Well, after Ares found her father, they had to hide the next heir to the storm, and they hid her here, on this little farm.
I've been there. That's where I was. That's where I came back to. It's older. It's more run down now, but that's that farm.
And she kind of crosses her arms and she goes, that's a very odd coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence. We can call it that.
And she kind of smirks and she goes, never really believed in those.
And Thor is going to kind of just sit and stare at it for a little bit.
And eventually she looks at the 4 of you and she goes, I'm actually really hungry, so I am going to go to the table, and not seeing you all in a very long time, I would love to catch up. I've missed all of you very, very much. So. And eventually she leaves the four of you in Anya's room, as you guys are all kind of just shoulders, like arms crossed, almost like you're all in different four corners of the room as you're all kind of taking this in.
And I'm probably going to be the first one to speak up here and just kind of... I know we've all been through a lot over the last 18 hours or so. Well, do you guys have any idea what the fuck is going on?
Alder, let's take a walk. And I'll look at Loki and Thok, and I'll just say, we'll meet you guys at the table with Vindrin.
I'll save you seats.
All right. And I'll go ahead with Loki and walk with him towards the table.
Okay.
Okay, so it's that heavy. All right.
Well, there's a reason that it's you and I and not the four of us. You remember... Fuck, how do I say this? You remember the big dead whale we had to fight?
Yeah, that's one of those things that kind of sticks with you.
Yeah, no, it's going to. That thing that brought the whale back to life, that was Manu.
I mean, if I remember correctly, wasn't there like a giant Manu on the whale or something like that? It's been a long time. There's a lot of things that have happened, so it makes sense. Yeah.
That was Manu, and that was also the Horsemen of Death. There's a thing called the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and that is one of them.
Dice Daddy, how familiar am I with the Four Horsemen?
I would say it's common knowledge. It's kind of like common knowledge in today's kind of world. You know of it. You don't know maybe you don't know what the whole dogma is, but you know what they are.
Okay, so if Manu was the first horseman that we've seen, then I guess the one that called himself Ares must be the second horseman.
Yeah, he is a war son, so that would be two.
Okay. So it looks like we're dealing with, was it death and war, if memory serves me correctly?
Correct.
All right, so does that leave us? Pestilence and who else?
The other one.
Oh. I now understand why you didn't say anything over our walkie-talkies when it started to go down.
We think that Monu Tap, the Horseman of Death, is tracking us through Thok and Monu. We don't know how much we can say in front of Monu or Thok. So, mum is the word.
So, basically, for the time being, just to make sure that I'm gathering this right, and I'm assuming you guys have already talked to Thok about this, if you got the chance to, which I guess you can elaborate on that, is he's just got to trust us, huh?
he is aware that there's going to be some information he's not privy to. It's nothing against Monu and it's nothing against Thok, but Monutep keeps finding us, and that is not beneficial.
Yeah. No, until death is dead, we can't really trust the ghost.
There's one other thing about the ghost that I may have forgotten to mention.
Well, go for it.
When I saw him, it was in a vision from Heimdall, or Helm as you call him.
Don't call him anything, but yeah.
As you would know him, he was whole. He was reunited with Thok's Manu, and that is what brought him to full power or made him whole again. So the further out of reach we can keep Monu from Monutep, the better.
Well, considering, I mean, I really don't even know what to say.
Yeah, they're going to end the world, so...
Yeah, no, we kind of don't have a choice but to stop that. I find that I do kind of very much enjoy living.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's you know, it's got its ups and downs, but I think the pros outweigh the cons. Yeah, I mean, it's heavy, but okay, so stopping the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Next time? No, I wouldn't say that. You guys are at least good company. I was going to say next time we'll stay in prison, but yeah, this has been...
Maybe next time we should all just stay in prison.
Yeah. That way we can't even... I mean, shit, the way they had Stonewood locked down, we wouldn't even be able to see the world burn.
As long as the mountain was safe, we would be fine.
Even then, I think that mountain could probably survive just about anything.
That's fair.
Yeah, well, we're out now, and I mean, I guess there could be worse things than having a dragon on our side. So
I think we need to do whatever it is we need to do at Asgard. And we have a lot of options. So,
yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna have to get back to Falsera at some point because we're gonna have to check on Ashford and see how he's doing. I'm sure it's been hours, so he's, you know, maybe a day at this point. I don't know. Time doesn't make much sense to me at this point with how things have gone, but he's a pretty eccentric guy, so if he's focused on it, I'm sure he's gonna get glued to it and he's gonna work relatively quickly. But I mean, we're asking him for stuff that's pretty much never been done before, so.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a tough ask. So.
Trial and error. Yeah.
We need to also get to the, find out about the demon balls. Should probably find out why Stonewood wanted us specifically and then wanted us back, which kind of coincides with the demon balls. So.
I mean, they probably wanted us back considering we all did things that were illegal.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if that's just it. They wanted Thok more than anything, so maybe they're tied up in this somehow. Find the other two horsemen, kill Monutep. We've got a lot of strands out in the wind right now, so we've just kind of put our nose down in a direction and go.
Yeah, I mean, and not to mention, I think Ares owes us an arm, an eye, and a finger. So.
Oh, you lost a finger.
Yeah, I've been better.
Oh no, not the middle one. That's the good one.
Yeah, no, it's the fun one. But yeah, that's yeah. After I think you were still there when I shifted into the spider. Yeah, I was, because I was still in the shackles when I tried that. I'm just, if I'd gone into anything but that spider, I probably would have looked more like you.
Oh, yeah, can't relate. I guess there's worse things.
I was gonna say, can relate. You don't have an arm. That's what I'm saying.
I was kidding. I absolutely can relate. Just so you know, Alda, if we're going to free the people of Asgard tomorrow, we are walking into a fight.
Well, considering the past 24 hours, say past 48 hours, I've assisted in bringing down a bunch of fire giants, a bigger fire giant, and also helped fight a horseman of the apocalypse. I think I'm ready for a fight again. I just need to sleep on it.
Cool. You'll be fighting the Destroyer, so it'll be great.
When you fight a horseman of the apocalypse, that name doesn't sound as intimidating as you think it would.
It's fair. It's a fair point. And,
I'm sure it's spooky. Don't get me wrong, but at this point, fuck it, man.
You're good people, Alda. You're good people.
Yeah, well. What stories are we going to tell Vindrin? We know she's going to ask for one.
I've got a couple. I've got an older one that maybe you guys haven't even heard before, and it's about some old friends that I think I'm kind of inspired to go find.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, at least you got friends.
I say friends, but I was more their babysitter, and they were just kind of around.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could tell her about how I finally met my brothers. So there's that.
I very much look forward to hearing about how horribly awkward your dinner was.
I mean, honestly, it didn't go as awkwardly as I thought it was going to. Well, let's talk. Well,
but yeah, it's fine.
But we got the bulk out of the way, so yeah, we have 4 very important people to kill and 1 very important orc to kind of keep in the dark and just tell him to trust us. Got it. That's the gist of it.
That is the gist of it.
Well, hopefully, holding up my grandfather's staff, being like, hopefully a moon man can help me with this. So
I hope so. I really do, Alda.
I'd like to get it back to its glory, but if not, maybe he's got something else that has a punch to it that we could use. We're gonna need it. So
it's definitely got some punchy stuff on the moon, my moon man. So also, Loki thinks he's small, or did. He's not. He's a massive dwarf. He's huge. Just a heads up. He's huge. It's disgusting.
Now, when you say massive dwarf, like, are you talking like 4'6"? Like what? A tall 5'2", 5'4"?
A tall, slender 5'2", 5'3". No, I mean, he will tower over all of us.
So he's got dwarf-like features, but in a giant's body.
It's hard to explain. I'll let him do it. But just know that he's very big. So
okay,
we'll
I mean, you're at least giving me the heads up to not be shocked. So I at least appreciate that.
Yeah, no, of course.
All right, well, let's, I guess, go to dinner and prepare some stories.
And I will close the door. As I look back, I'm going to look at the farm and then look at Anya and just close the door nice and quiet.
Okay.
And
as you
before
do.
we, I was going to say, and before we walk back, I'm just going to look at him and be like, all this stuff. It's never meant much to me, but pointing over at the room, and I'm just gonna say, we'll do this for her and for all your people. I'm gonna make it right. I know it.
We have to.
And then I pat him on the nub and
Gotta
give
make
him
it
a
weird, man. Come on.
I mean, you just told me that the world's dying, so keep things light any way I can.
So, as the two of you kind of gently close the door, you are met with, in the dining hall, boisterous laughter as you can hear Thok, Loki, and Vindrin laughing. And Vindrin is currently eating, there's like at least like 2 or 3 just like pheasants that have been roasted, and she's just eating them, and she's in the middle of a story telling Thor and Loki, and she's saying, and so he didn't even say anything to my husband, and my husband loved to talk. My husband followed this man for 3 miles in silence. Well, my husband wasn't in silence. He was making small talk until he was acknowledged. He's done this several times. They were on a convert mission. Finn was not supposed to talk to him, and all he wanted was just like, hey, do you think my joke's funny? Dude, this is a really interesting anecdote. Do you think the sky's blue for me? Just would not stop talking and completely blew their cover.
How I would have loved to meet your husband, Vindrin.
Oh, you would have loved him. He was such a poet.
I
He
do.
sounds like
Go.
an amazing man.
Well, I mean, that's brass dragons for you. So they'll talk your ear off until you literally die.
Do you have any more of his poems?
Oh, I'm sure I have something somewhere. I will check I think I have an old room or an old cubby. I'll be back. Thor, I will be back. And she gets up, and you see her kind of walk off as the 4 of you are amongst this table of just kind of food that looks like has been prepared, but it's not, it's not entirely hot or like lukewarm to cold, but it's still sustenance.
As they walk up, Loki, visibly drunk, is standing up. Thor! Alder! Oh, you made it! Fantastic! Vindrin was telling us a fantastic story about her husband and is going to get us some poems to listen to. Here, have a seat. As I use minor illusion to push 2 chairs out.
Oh, you've already been drinking.
Oh, no, of course not. I would... Thor, look at me. Look at me in the eyes. Would I be drinking?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I whisper to the side to Thok. The answer's yes.
No, shit.
I'd like to think that Loki actually did it this way.
So you can see. Yeah. The answer's yes.
I know Loki.
You
that
betcha.
was- yeah, no. I'm standing right here. I can smell you.
I did that so you could find us. I was worried you'd get lost in this grand building.
Right. Oh, brother.
There once was a man who went to sea.
No.
And
Since all of us are here and I look around, obviously Vindrin's not with us. Excuse me. There's something I need to bring to y'all's attention because I don't think we noticed it out of the battlefield. Not to rain on y'all's parade, but I think it ended up being a good thing in the end. While I was tied up and I couldn't speak, and Anya had fallen, Manutep. Manutep? Was that what it was? Yeah, Manutep was there. He actually was looming over Anya's body and had told what I could only assume was her soul out. However, when things seemed grim, Manu actually was fighting Manutep while we were dealing with Ares. I've never seen something like it before. It seemed like they were, the only thing I can explain, maybe the astral plane. I don't understand linear traveling or whatnot, but it seemed pretty evenly matched. But Manu was able to distract him long enough for, again, what I could only assume would be Aya's soul to keep moving. So thankfully, he did not get that, at least. I take it how you will, discuss it how you may need to, and I kind of look at Thor with an understanding of an unspoken word of, I understand I can't be part of this conversation when you do. But it's just, like I said, full transparency. I'm trusting all of you. And hopefully we can figure this out. And I know that things are grim and things seem impossible, but things have seemed impossible before. And I'm going to pull out the 27 little drawings that 27 little children had made for us and lay them on the table and be like, back at Sun Golf, things seemed to also be impossible. However, we were able to get it through it, not without its casualties, obviously, not too dissimilar to this, but in the end, we were able to save many more that were lost. So hopefully this will inspire you that, as dark as it is, and trust me, I've been through some dark times, there's still even the smallest glimmer of light and hope is going to prevail. And I divide the photos to each of them to make sure everybody has like the same even amount of photos that the kids drew.
Okay.
I look at Thok after a little bit and say, so you went to Falsera and I gave you like a lot of gold to get me some armor. Did that happen or?
Well, I mean, I had your gold. We kind of had to leave Falsera in a hurry.
Got it.
Because someone decided to blow up a building and shit. But
And it wasn't me. I am not getting pinned for that shit. My dad already thought that.
no, but I mean, how much gold did you give me?
You actually got me my adamantine half plate.
Oh, did I?
You did, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Me losing the eye kind of fucked
Yeah, no.
with my memory. You're right.
Quick retcon.
That was like what I was gonna say. It's in my bag. So, and I will.
Which bag? I don't. Where?
I don't know. It's with my shit. It's with my armor. It's with my stuff. I don't know. Like,
It's.
Fuck would know where it is. Carlos has no idea.
Hold on. I'm gonna go over to Thok's stuff, and I'm gonna find the fanny pack that's the bag of holding, and I'm going to take it out of there to give to him, because clearly I am much more sound of mind at this point, and I'm just going to say, there's been so much information today, I really need a nap. Here's your armor.
How did that get in? Oh my god, we have a bag of holding? When did that happen? And who the fuck is Ashford?
That's the person who's building us a rocket to the moon.
Got it. I like him. He gave us a bag of holding, and we have a rocket.
We're going to the moon?
And he
Oh my god.
Oh god. Where did Vindrin put the bottle?
So, speaking of Vindrin, She eventually comes back and she has this massive trunk that she puts on top of the table. And she goes, I couldn't find, well, I found some poetry, but I found something a little more interesting. And she kind of goes over to the trunk and she goes, my husband and I, when things have changed and the Triquetra, which was Anya and her friends, they would attain things and obviously they would get other things. And well, amongst that, I think some of these things might be useful to you. And she looks at the four of you and she kind of smiles as she opens the trunk. And you see her whole arm go in, Mary Poppins style. And eventually she pulls out this very handsome looking, almost the size of a spear, a staff that's inlaid with gold and silvers. And she kind of looks and she goes, I think this would be best suited for, and she kind of hands it over to a very drunk Loki who has essentially now a bow staff. And she goes, this is essentially, this is going to make you a lot more charismatic, even more than you are now, darling. So Loki, you have a staff of charming.
And while he's holding that, I'm going to take the bottle from him and...
Of course, the more the merrier. I hope you know some drinking songs, though.
And she reaches in again and she goes, and I think Finn had something that would suit you all to... Yes! Ah. And there's this very dark green cloak. And she goes, even with my true sight, it was very hard to see him when he wore this. And she hands you over a nature's mantle, which is an enchanted cloak. And she reaches in again and she pulls out a very small book. And she looks over at Thok and she goes, you don't see the reading type? And then she looks over at Thor and you definitely don't see the reading type.
What's reading?
So she says, with your one good eye. And she hands you this little book, and it is a manual of gainful exercise.
Gainful?
Gainful exercise.
Get fucking jacked.
What?
Mad gains.
And Vindrin looks at you, Thor, and she goes, I realize you just got your armor. It looks very nice. There is something that Anya used to wear. And I don't know if you can get it fitted or anything. And she pulls out this giant parcel, and it's covered in like butcher paper. Closes the trunk and hands it over to you, and it's kind of with butcher twine. As you kind of undo it, there is this beautiful, just kind of almost leather, but it has this blue sheen to it. And upon closer inspection, go ahead and roll a nature check for me.
Oh, God.
You got it.
That's not actually terrible. 16. I rolled a natural 15 plus 1.
16. So while looking at it, you kind of look at it inquisitively and then back up at her as this is blue dragon scale armor.
Oh, fuck.
And she goes, Anya killed her first dragon, skinned it, and made someone make armor for her. Now, obviously, it's going to fit a 20, 30-year-old Anya, but the material should be there, and when you wear it, well, let's just say I'm not surprising you with being a dragon anytime soon, or anyone else for that matter.
Thank you. This is unexpected and unnecessary, but appreciated.
And she looks at you and she goes, my husband still has some surprises up his sleeve.
Did Valdana go to the ships?
I would assume
she
there would
get
be a
stayed?
conversation, so you can. She is currently with her. I would say she's currently with her mom.
Got it. So I would assume they were in either right outside the hearth or something along those lines.
I mean, they have their own rooms, so you would assume that maybe they're resting.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Excuse myself from the group. I'm gonna like kind of have dragon scale armor here and the adamantine, and I'm like,
Oh yeah, with one hand.
oh, true. I don't. I'm
Just like
just.
stack it. Like,
I'm like, oh no, what is happening here?
I'm off balance.
Oh no.
how am I gonna cut steak now?
I'm not. I'm just gonna pick it up and eat it.
Eat it like a fucking monster.
Like a fucking man. I'm gonna just kind of look at them and be like, I gotta figure out how to make this fucking work or something. Older, could you be a deer and you know what? Never mind. It's fine. I got it.
What
And
you
I'm just
mean?
gonna kind of put my arm through the one and then like get it up over the shoulder and then put my arm through the other one and get it up over the shoulder and then just kind of like clothesline it and just put them in my room.
Vindrin's like, he's very stubborn, isn't he?
Incredibly.
Are you surprised?
No.
Hey, Vindrin, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me any question you'd like, Doc.
One of the things that I just realized, you called was it Queen Anya and her friends the Triquetra?
Yes, that was their proper name. When they first joined together, they were the Brass Kickers.
I like it. I was part of a group called the Brass Holes, actually, back in before I ended up in. Anyways, that's a lifetime ago. I just saw that on their banner, like with the blue and the green and the off white. Like, do we know the other two? Like, really?
Oh, we've talked about them at great length. And she kind of draws with her hands, and her finger gets slightly long, like a claw. And she begins carving into the wooden table the symbol. And it's these three triangles that are obviously overlapping. And she goes, Triquetra is essentially triquetress, which is just three-cornered. It's the three of them. They found each other in a very compromising time, and when they found each other, they were literally unstoppable. The blue was for Anya, and for the storms and for the skies that she looked over. And the green was for Finn Meyer, the swamp man, who, despite being a mere human, could look down a red dragon in the face and not flinch. And of course, and she traces the white, which was Tristan. He was the soul of the entire group. He was their moral compass. There's not a person that Tristan would not believe in to help. And they were a trinity.
Well, we know what happened to Tristan. Whatever happened to Finnmeyer?
Well, I was never there for the Dragon Wars. That's why I'm still alive. My husband persisted that I stay home. That if anything were to happen, there needs to be at least one metallic dragon left, as all of them were being extinguished. And the chromatic dragons, and regardless, there was a very large iron Draco Lich that ravaged what is the little crater that we know now as Valoria the first time. And these three very unlikely friends, heroes, took down an iron dragon, Draco Lich. And Anya was the only one to come out of it.
Good.
With as that silence is in the air, Loki casts Mage Hand to grab the bottle back from Older. Do I just get it? Do I have to roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless Alder's trying to take it.
No, I needed to get myself a drink if I'm going to be able to handle your current state.
He
I
casts
would have
Mage
poured one
Hand.
for Thor as well, by the way.
So does everyone have a drink then?
I would assume so.
You're muted.
You're muted, Pat.
I'm not there at the moment.
Yeah.
he walked away.
Everyone else.
I walked away.
Then I get the bottle. I make sure that everyone has a drink. I have Mage Hand pour any glasses that are empty, and then bring the bottle to me. As Loki raises the bottle up in the air, makes eye contact with everyone, and says, "To the Triquetra."
Triquetra.
And she goes, I also hear there's a new group.
Oh?
I don't know. It's named after a pretty strong and powerful creature.
There's a group named after me. Oh,
no.
finally.
Oh, no, darling.
Shut up.
To the
Go eat a
legacy
pine
of the
cone.
Triquetra. To the legacy of the Triquetra. And the eventual new legacy and champion of Vindrin's Valor.
Here.
Here.
Yes.
And Loki finishes the bottle and slams it on the ground. Another!
We have wine.
I would love
As we
wine.
pan.
Vindrin gets up again. Thor, where are we going?
First to put the armor in my room. Second to Valdona's room.
Okay. Eventually, you kind of gently rap on Valdona's door and open it, and you see that her armor is just clattered everywhere. It's bloody. It's dented and scorn and torn. And you see her in her bed, and the sheet is just haphazardly just thrown on her as you hear very soft snoring as she is completely exhausted.
So I will go in, see her kind of in that state. I will go and fix the sheet, kind of straighten it out, make sure she's tucked in properly, and give her a little kiss on the forehead and walk out.
Okay. And you do so.
I will kind of look at, when I come out of her room, I'll turn and look down the hall where everyone is, and then I'll just kind of turn and look back towards where my room is.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight is not a night for merriment and celebration for Thor, so he's going to go back to his room and do the same, undoff the rusted armor he's been wearing since he fought Hercules. Take off Bjorn, put the hammer down, and see if there's like anywhere to wash up.
Yeah,
Very
there'd be a
dirty.
washing to at least get the blood off and see lip. First time you really get to look at how you look now with your arm.
Oh no, you're all robot-y.
I am.
Yeah. Josh, you are muted.
Wrap it up.
Oh no.
Well, yeah. Looks like Justin is having issues right on cue for the end of the session. So with that, we'll end tonight's session. Thank you all for watching. Pat, say your words.
Thank you guys for hanging out.
Oh, poor Justin.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dungeons and Dragons and Junk Drawer.
Ding.
Ding.
We will be back next week 2 weeks in a row. So make sure you're back here. Thank you so much for watching. Josh, would you like to read some names in the chat?
Heck yeah. All right. Shout out
Sick.
to, us. Gandalf the Babe, 2020. Another TV viewer, Commander Root, J Velez 1199, Grizzly. Double thank you for you because I believe you rated us with 6 people. Thank you to
Heck yeah. Thank you.
CCH. I think that's how they're pronounced. You said something in the chat. We always love that. But yeah, thank you all for watching. We know we've been a little inconsistent, but life is that way, and we appreciate you sticking out with us. So
thanks, guys. If you're not vaccinated, wear a mask. And if you're wearing a mask because you're not vaccinated, get fucking vaccinated. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. Have a good week, everybody, and we'll see you all back here next time.
Bye.
goodbye.
We're not dead, but we're close.
Dead inside.
Dead inside.